everyone, it's Erin from EB Mixed Media. I am playing again today with my Whimsical Floral stamps. I have a collection of 5 sets of stamps. They're available at joggles.com. And today is all about using up scraps. I am becoming overwhelmed in my art quote studio, which is basically just an office upstairs, guest room. And I am trying, I'm always looking for ways to store things. And I have a lot of scraps. And so I was trying to think of projects that would use up scraps. So I have a couple things in mind. And what we're going to do today with these stamps is make stamps. Okay, so we're going to make faux postage stamps. And we're mostly going to be using these little creatures that are part of the stamp collection. Each set comes with 3 florals, a background stamp, and then some sort of little creature and a couple sentiments. So there's birds, there's bees, there's dragonflies, there's ladybugs, and butterflies. And so that's primarily what we're going to be using. We may use a couple of the smaller flowers as well. But we're going to use these with our scraps. Okay, so it's all about scraps. So the way I organize my desk is I have little bins that are sorted by color of scraps. And these are just the small pieces that you end up with when you're making journal pages or other projects. So this is kind of oranges. This is purples. I have a gold one. I have a red one somewhere. I have black and white. And then I also have, for the colors I use the most, I have this bin. It's a plastic bin. I think it's more for kitchen storage, but it's divided into 3 compartments, and it needs to be sorted. But the first compartment is kind of my pinks and yellows and oranges that I love, and then blues and greens is in the second one, and then this is just a mess. So, oh, there's pink back here, though. I might use some of that. And there's some cardstock. So we'll pull those. Oh, and a blue. Let's pull that. Okay, so scraps, scraps, scraps. So today what we're going to make are little faux stamps. And let me show you what those look like. I've made a ton of them. They're addictive once you get started. So that one's a little bit larger, but some of these are quite small. There's another one. Here's the ladybug one. The bee. What else do we have? There's another bird. Here's a butterfly. And then a couple I made larger. This one actually included a floral. Some of the florals in the collection of stamps are quite small, so they work for this. I wanted to have some small stamps for smaller scale projects. This one's a little bit bigger with the larger bird. Okay, so this gives you an idea of what we're going to do today. So let's get to it. I have a couple of other videos that show how I color these stamps, the butterflies, the birds, etc. And so you can check out my YouTube channel. I'll link in the description box to the videos that show how I make all of these little embellishments, okay? Now, if you don't have my collection, and I don't expect you to necessarily have it, you can look through your collection of stamps and find out what else you might have that you could use. Or if you have old scrapbooking paper that you're trying to get rid of, maybe there's a pattern on that you could cut out that's quite small and you could use those. So to get started, we just basically need a small scrap of paper. And so I have this little bin that's just offcuts of paper. And I'm gonna let's just start with white. Here we go. So the way I do this is I cut out my stamp, and I've got these scissors that are kind of fun. They have a pattern, so they kind of look like a stamp. You don't have to have that. I don't even know if stamps have the kind of, what do you call this? Fancy edging anymore. Okay, so that's going to be a fairly good size stamp. We can cut out another one that's a little bit smaller. If I just cut this in half, I might get 2. See if that's too small. That might be too small. Okay, so there's 3 to start with. And I'm going to cut a couple more just plain like that. And then we'll do some of these maybe. Okay. So to start, I want to have some kind of background paper. And so I'm going to go through my scraps and pull out some paper that looks good. Now here is an example from my washi tape. This is my Fabulous Florals washi. This is the fall floral. And a lot of times I like to, I've actually put it onto a sticker so that it's really easy to apply and it's a little bit thicker. So let's go ahead and try that. And we'll cut that into a square. Maybe we'll put it on this one, this larger one. And I'm just going to lay that down. And then I'll look around and see what I have, and I can see this bird right here I think might be perfect for it. But what I want to do, rather than have the fancy trimmed edge, I'm just going to make my own, and it'll look real whimsical and cute. So I'm going to just make a ruffle to give the impression of a stamp. And to do that, I like to do the corners first so that I'm assured I have a ruffle on the corner. And then I just freehand my ruffle, or edging, whatever you would like to call it. Here we go. And yeah, my bird will fit right on there. So I'm going to glue my little bird down. I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. I find the glue stick sometimes on the washi, because the washi is kind of slick, doesn't always work or hold as well. So I'm going to use this instead. Guys, these are so easy and they're so cute. I'm warning you now, you may get addicted. And now you have to have a number on your stamp to tell people how much it costs. So I went ahead and again used my scraps and I stamped out some numbers here. So let's make, this is a good size stamp, so we'll make it $1's worth. And I've got my Distress Oxide and Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to sort of distress the edges of this and make it just look a little more worn. It'll also allow it to pop off of the stamp a little more. And we'll add that. And that's really all there is to it. If you wanted to, you could add a few more layers of paper, maybe some book pages, something like that, if you wanted to give it a little more something, little oomph there. But now I'm just going to cut it out. And there you go. There's our first stamp. Super cute. Let's try this one that's so narrow. But I think one of our butterflies will fit perfectly on that one. And let's see. This is kind of an interesting piece of paper. I think that butterfly would fit. What I tended to do the first time I did this was I just first started and covered a bunch of stamps with paper. And then I went and tried to find an embellishment that looked good on it. So you can do it either way. I guess I'll do it this way for now. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. There's nothing, no need to be precise, really. And what do you do with these? These are cute for embellishments on artist trading cards, which is, you know, I'll probably be using them on those that I'm making for my 100-day project. You could use them on greeting cards or little notes. You can decorate tags, anything you would use a regular embellishment. That's what you can use with this. So we'll put that on there. And for this, I'll just use a regular glue stick. I think that'll be fine. We'll tape that down there. Okay. Let's see about this. How about some kind of purples or something? That's kind of an interesting piece of paper. I don't know if I like it on that. How about a piece of pink, maybe? Oh, that's cute. Let's do that. And for this, I'll use my fancy scissors. I can't even tell you how old these scissors must be. They've got to be 25 years old. I would be surprised if many of you didn't have these in your stash. There's that one. Okay, let's go back to this one and see. How about something turquoisey? Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. I just said yellow paper somewhere. I thought I did. Here we go. Do something with the yellow. Let's see. Oh, how about this? This is more of my washi that's been taped onto some cardstock. Let's pick a tiny, tiny one. Let's see. So now comes the fun of embellishing. So like for this one, there's a pattern on here, but I'm going to emphasize it just by kind of outlining it in gold. And that is just going to give, I can't even hardly see it, but I can just even pretend. But it's just going to kind of bump up that background a little more. Make it pop. There we go. And then we'll go through our little stash over here and see if we have anything. Actually, why don't we do that first and see what we can find to go with all of these. So, for example, that's kind of cute there. This little guy'd be cute maybe there. Oh, or would he be cute here? Like that. Where was our tiny one? There's a tiny one. How about we put our bee in the garden? There's another little bird. There's another tiny little butterfly. That's cute. I didn't do a dragonfly, did I? We can do a dragonfly there. Yeah, okay. So we'll glue those down. Oh, well, yeah, before I do that, I want to go ahead and put a ruffle on this one. It needs a ruffle. There we go. Oops, move it over a tad so it's not coming off the stamp. I'll cut the stem when I trim it. Okay, here's my ladybug. Put that one center. My other little ladybug. There's a dragonfly. Oh, I better cut that before I glue anything to it. We'll trim it. This is another one I think I might want to accent a little bit with some gold. Let's see, I need to trim this one too. Well, let's finish these. So now, as far as numbers go, I told you I had cut some out. The other place to find numbers is magazines, book pages, things like that. But also this Tim Holtz Ideology. These are, it's a clipping sticker book, so it looks like it's found words clipped out of books, but there's little, I guess it's probably the book pages. So there are little numbers in this. So this is a really tiny one. I'm going to save that we might be able to get a number on the little ones. But we'll take this one that says 115 and we can put it on there. And then this is looking kind of plain. So let's emphasize some of the blues in there and just add some polka dots here. Like so. And then I also like to go around this with my Distress Oxide and Vintage photo. Just give it a little distressed edges, which I think looks cute. And there you go. There's our little ladybug. Cute. Okay, here's our other ladybug. This is a pretty good size one, so why don't we use one of my stamped numbers here, and I'll just trim it down. And we'll put that on. And let's distress that up. as well. Put that on. And then this one's big enough that I think we could get a little sentiment at the bottom. So this is from my Whimsical stamp collection. It says Enchanted. So let's put that on there. What I love about this little project is I have had this little box of scrap paper, and I always say I'm saving that because that'll be perfect for if I want to stamp a sentiment or if I want to do something small, and I never ever go back to it. I pull out a large sheet of mixed media paper or whatever it is, and I cut that one up, and then I put the scraps in here. So this is a great opportunity to use those scraps. And that's what I love about this project. Okay, we need a number for this one. Let's see. Let's use a Tim Holtz number. Some of these are bigger than others, so I kind of like to grab the ones that are a little bit larger if I'm using a larger, if I've got a larger stamp. And this one feels like it needs something as well. So I've got a pink here that we could add. Some sort of embellishment. And maybe when that's dry, I'll circle those. We'll see. Okay, how about our bee? Let's trim this. So one final touch that can help make our stamps look a little more authentic, and I don't do it on all of them, but I do it on some of them that have some blank space. This is a postage meter stamp. So after it goes through the post office and it gets processed, right? And that just adds a little more authenticity to your stamp, your faux stamp, right? I'll go this way on this one. Maybe this one. It'll stamp to the washi. I think it will. Yeah. Let's take a look at these. The bird. Here's our tiny little butterflies. I found tiny little numbers to put on those. Here's our floral with the fun scalloped edges. Dragonfly. Another butterfly. Oh, that's an old one. Those aren't ones we made today. There's the bumblebee, another dragonfly, cute little ladybug, another ladybug. And then the first one we did was the bird. So I hope you enjoyed that. I sure had fun. I think they're just addictive to make. And again, it's a great way to use up your scraps. That's it for me today. Again, you can find the stamps at joggles.com. They're the Whimsical Floral collection. I'll be back soon. In the meantime, you can find me on Instagram. It's EB Mixed Media, EB_Mixed Media. Thanks, everyone. Bye.